In 1952, a songwriter named Frank Delaney wrote the first half of a song in a rooming house in Memphis, Tennessee, and then got on a bus. He had a job in Chicago, a factory job, the kind that pays enough to stay alive and not enough to stay interested. He had been trying to make music work for 6 years. He was 31 years old. He had a wife and a daughter in Memphis. He had a job offer in Chicago. He wrote the first half of the song on the morning of the day he left, not because he was trying to write a song, because the song arrived while he was packing, and he could not leave without getting it down. He got as far as the bridge. Then the taxi was there. Then the bus station. Then Chicago. He never finished it. Not because he stopped trying. He tried for a year in Chicago. He tried on Sunday mornings when the factory was closed. He tried at the kitchen table in the apartment on South Michigan Avenue, where his family joined him in February 1953. He could not find the second half. The song, or what there was of it, stayed in a notebook. The notebook stayed in a box. The box moved with him across several apartments in Chicago over the following decade. In 1961, Frank Delaney met a musician named Cecil Hampton at a church social on the South Side. Cecil was 24 years old. He had come to Chicago from Birmingham, Alabama 2 years earlier. He played guitar. He was, by the assessment of everyone who heard him, remarkably gifted. Frank showed him the notebook. Not with any specific hope. He showed people songs occasionally. It was the habit of a man who still thought of himself as a songwriter, even if the factory had been his main occupation for 9 years. Cecil read the first half of the song. He played the chords Frank had noted. He sang the verse. He asked where the rest was. Frank said there wasn't a rest. Cecil looked at him. "There is," Cecil said. "I can hear it." Frank asked if he could find it. Cecil said he didn't know, but he took the notebook home. He had it for 3 weeks. He brought it back. He said he had found some of the second half, not all of it. He had found something that might be part of it. He played what he had. Frank listened. He said, "That's part of it." Cecil asked how he knew. Frank said, "Because I recognize where it's going." They worked on it together, across a year. Sunday mornings at Frank's kitchen table. Occasional weekday evenings. The specific, slow, non-commercial work of 2 people trying to finish something that one of them had started in a Memphis rooming house a decade earlier. They finished it in December 1962. They recorded a demo, not in a studio, on a home machine that Frank's neighbor owned and loaned them for an afternoon. Cecil took the demo to several people in the Chicago music industry. He was told it was good. He was not offered a deal. He was told the market was moving in a different direction, and that a ballad of this style was not what anyone was looking for. He brought the news to Frank. Frank was quiet. He said, "That's all right." Cecil asked if he wanted to try somewhere else. Frank said, "No." Cecil asked why. Frank thought about it. "Because it's done," Frank said. "That's enough." Cecil did not understand this. He was 25 years old, and the song was the best thing he had been involved in, and the idea of not trying further was not something he could accept. But Frank was 31 years older than the song, and he understood something about finished things that Cecil was not yet old enough to understand. That the finishing was the point. Not the release, not the reception, not the success or failure in the market. The finishing. The song that had been started on a morning in Memphis in 1952 and had traveled in a box through several Chicago apartments for 10 years was done. That was enough. Frank Delaney retired from the factory in 1974. He and his wife moved back to Memphis. He died in 1988. He was 67 years old. Cecil Hampton continued making music. He recorded 2 albums in the 1970s that found modest audiences. He taught guitar for 20 years at a Chicago community arts center. He died in 2019. He was 82 years old. The demo recording is with Frank Delaney's daughter. She has it in a shoebox in a Memphis closet. She played it for a music historian named Daniel Ford in 2021, who was researching community music making on the south side of Chicago in the 1950s and 1960s. Daniel Ford described it in an email to a colleague that same evening. He said it was the best thing he had heard in 3 years of archival research. He asked the daughter if he could share it. She said she would think about it. As of 2023, she is still thinking about it. The song started in Memphis in 1952. It was finished in Chicago in 1962. It has been in a shoebox in Memphis since 1988. Waiting. The way unfinished things wait. And finished things wait. And everything that was ever made waits for someone to open the box.